We're all going to die, all of us. What a circus that alone should make us love each other, but it doesn't. We are terrorized and flattened by trivialities. We are eaten up by nothing. Charles Bukowski. The difference between a democracy and a dictatorship is that in a democracy you vote first and take orders later. In a dictatorship you don't have to waste your time voting. Charles Bukowski. If you're losing your soul and you know it, then you've still got a soul left to lose. Charles Bukowski. Never envy a man his lady. Behind it all lays a living hell. The free soul is rare, but you know it when you see it, basically because you feel good, very good when you are near or with them. An intellectual says a simple thing in a hard way. An artist says a hard thing in a simple way. You begin saving the world by saving one man at a time, all else is grandiose romanticism or politics. If you want to know who your friends are, get yourself a jail sentence. I can relax with bums because I am a bum. I don't like laws, morals, religions, rules. I don't like to be shaped by society. We are here to laugh at the odds and live our lives so well that death will tremble to take us. It's possible to love a human being if you don't know them too well. Almost everybody is born a genius and buried an idiot. Some people never go crazy. What truly horrible lives they must live. We are here to unlearn the teachings of the church state and our education system. I don't like the clean-shaven boy with the necktie and the good job. I like desperate men with broken teeth and broken minds and broken ways. They interest me. They are full of surprises and explosions. Charles Bukowski. I do not like the human race. I don't like their heads, I don't like their faces, I don't like their feet, I don't like their conversations, I don't like their hairdos, I don't like their automobiles. Savior Charles Bukowski. Censorship is the tool of those who have the need to hide actualities from themselves and from others. Their fear is only their inability to face what is real, and I can't vent any anger against them. I only feel this appalling sadness. Somewhere in their upbringing, they were shielded against the total facts of our existence. Charles Bukowski. Genius might be the ability to say a profound thing in a simple way. Bad taste creates many more millionaires than good taste. Having a bunch of cats around is good. If you're feeling bad, you just look at the cats, you'll feel better because they know that everything is just as it is. There's nothing to get excited about. They just know. They're saviors. Charles Bukowski. Even though I write about the human race, the further away from them, the better I feel. 2 miles is great, 2,000 miles is beautiful. Even though I write about the human race, the further away from them, the better I feel. 2 miles is great, 2,000 miles is beautiful. I have no definite talent or trade, and how I stay alive is largely a matter of magic. There are women who can make you feel more with their bodies and their souls, but these are the exact women who will turn the knife into you right in front of the crowd. Of course, I expect this, but the knife still cuts. Charles Bukowski. Never get out of bed before noon. I would be married, but I'd have no wife. I would be married to a single life. I don't like jail. They got the wrong kind of bars in there. My days, my years, my life has seen up and downs, lights and darknesses. If I wrote only and continually of the light and never mentioned the other, then as an artist, I would be a liar. Charles Bukowski. Not to have entirely wasted one's life seems to be a worthy accomplishment, if only for myself. The male, for all his bravado and exploration, is the loyal one, the one who generally feels love. The female is skilled at betrayal and torture and damnation. I used to live on one candy bar a day. It cost a nickel. I always remember the candy bar was called Payday. That was my payday. And that candy bar tasted so good. At night I would take one bite, and it was so beautiful. I only type every third night. I have no plan. My mind is a blank. I sit down. The typewriter gives me things I don't even know I'm working on. It's a free lunch. A free dinner. I don't know how long it is going to continue, but so far there is nothing easier than writing. My love is a hummingbird sitting that quiet moment on the bough, as the same cat crouches. In my work, as a writer, I only photograph, in words, what I see. When everything works best, it's not because you chose writing but because writing chose you. It's when you're mad with it, it's when it's stuffed in your ears, your nostrils, under your fingernails. It's when there's no hope but that. Charles Bukowski. Show me a man who lives alone and has a perpetually clean kitchen, and 8 times out of 9 I'll show you a man with detestable spiritual qualities. Charles Bukowski. There will always be something to ruin our lives. It all depends on what or which finds us first. We are always ripe and ready to be taken. The thing that I fear discriminating against is humor and truth. The more cats you have, the longer you live. If you have 100 cats, you'll live 10 times longer than if you have 10. Someday this will be discovered, and people will have 1,000 cats and live forever. It's truly ridiculous. Charles Bukowski. Early on, When I was quite young and going from job to job, I was foolish enough to sometimes speak to my fellow workers, "Hey, the boss can come in here at any moment and lay all of us off, just like that, don't you realize that?" They would just look at me. I was posing something that they didn't want to enter their minds. A cat is only itself, representative of the strong forces of life that won't let go. Humanity, you never had it to begin with. The female loves to play man against man. And if she is in a position to do it, there is not one who will resist. Charles Bukowski. When I worked on a magazine, I learned that there are many writers writing that can't write at all, and they keep on writing all the cliches and bromides and 1890 plots, and poems about spring and poems about love, and poems they think are modern because they are done in slang or staccato style, or written with all the I's small. Charles Bukowski. Charles Bukowski, the American poet, short story writer, and novelist, was born Heinrich Karl Bukowski Jr. in Andernach, Germany on August 1920. He was the son of Henry Bukowski, a U.S. soldier who was part of the post-World War I occupation force, and Katharina Fett, a German woman. His father, his wife and young Henry Charles returned to the United States in 1922, settling in Los Angeles, California, the setting of much of Hank Bukowski's oeuvre. With Raymond Chandler, Bukowski is the great chronicler of the City of Angels, and after John Steinbeck and Robinson Jeffers, who influenced Bukowski's poetry, he arguably is the most important and certainly one of the most influential writers produced by the Golden State. Bukowski's childhood was marred by a violent father, who regularly beat him with a razor strop until his teen years, and then by the Great Depression. When Bukowski went through adolescence, he developed an awful case of acne vulgaris which disfigured his face and made him feel like an outsider. His father frequently was out of work during the Depression, and he took out his pain and anxiety on his son. The younger Bukowski took to drink at a young age, and became a rather listless underachiever as a means of rebellion against not only his father, but against society in general, the society his father wanted him to become a productive member of. The young Bukowski could care less. During his school years, Bukowski read widely, and he entered Los Angeles City College after graduating from high school to study journalism and literature with the idea of becoming a writer. He left home after his father read some of his stories and went berserk, destroying his output and throwing his possessions out onto the lawn, a lawn that the young Bukowski had to mow weekly and would be beaten for if the grass wasn't perfectly cut. Bukowski left City College after a year and went on the bum, traveling to Atlanta, where he lived in a shack and subsisted on candy bars. He would continue to return to his parents' house when he was busted flat and had nowhere else to go. Somebody once asked me what my theory of life was, and I said, "Don't try." That fits the writing, too. I don't try, I just type. Charles Bukowski. What my character is or how many jails I have lounged in, or wards or walls or wassels, how many lonely heart poetry readings I have dodged, is beside the point. A man's soul or lack of it will be evident with what he can carve upon a white sheet of paper. Between the ages of 15 and 24, I must have read a whole library. You can do without a woman but not a typewriter. It's when you begin to lie to yourself in a poem in order to simply make a poem, that you fail. I am a dangerous man when turned loose with a typewriter. To do a dull thing with style now, that's what I call art. Writers have to put up with this editor thing, it is ageless and eternal and wrong. Joan of Arc had style. Jesus had style. My writing is jagged and harsh, I want it to remain that way, I don't want it smoothed out. When I write, when I'm going hot, I don't want to write more than 4 hours in a row. After that, you're pushing it. If I write badly about blacks, homosexuals and women, it is because of these who I met were that. There are many bads, bad dogs, bad censorship, there are even bad white males. Only, when you write about bad white males, they don't complain about it. And need I say that there are good blacks, good homosexuals and good women? Charles Bukowski. We have wasted history like a bunch of drunks shooting dice back in the men's crapper of the local bar. Most poets are young simply because they have not been caught up. Show me an old poet, and I'll show you, more often than not, either a madman or a master. It's when you begin to lie to yourself in a poem in order simply to make a poem that you fail. That is why I do not rework poems. I don't write so much now. I'm getting on 33, potbelly and creeping dementia. I kept writing not because I felt I was so good, but because I felt they were so bad, including Shakespeare, all those. The stilted formalism, like chewing cardboard. Generally, a writer of force is anywhere from 20 years to 200 years ahead of his generation. Sometimes I've called writing a disease. If so, I'm glad that it caught me. Charles Bukowski. Much publishing is done through politics, friends, and natural stupidity. Shakespeare didn't work at all for me. Those who have been writing literature have not been writing life. When I say that basically writing is a hard hustle, I don't mean that it is a bad life, if one can get away with it. It's the miracle of miracles to make a living by the typer. I have not worked out my poems with a careful will, falling rather on haphazard and blind formulation of wordage, a more flowing concept, in a hope for a more new and lively path. I do personalize at times, but this only for the grace and elan of the dance. Charles Bukowski.